Hello friends, and welcome to the Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, how do I look? What do you think? The clothes? Well, the clothes, these are what is called Geran Hanbok. They are reformed Korean clothes. Traditional Korean clothes that are reformed to be easily worn by modern people. So there is a zipper where there wouldn't naturally be. There's Velcro where there wouldn't have been. So it's very comfortable. And I found some sets of these Geran Hanbok in my mom's home at the bottom of a box that I had tucked away like 20 years ago, and I can still wear them. So I'm going to start wearing them again from time to time. I love them. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Also, I don't know if you can see this. This is a new acquisition. This is a tarot charm. What do I mean? A wonderful creator has created a set of pewter charms of all 78 cards that you can purchase and use them to draw very small tarot spreads, which is wonderful to have these very sturdy pewter tarot cards that are just so easy to use, to pull like charms. And if you purchase it separately, there is this thing here that you can attach to a necklace and have your daily draw worn as a charm for the day. So if you're interested in me doing a dive into this beautiful Charmcaster Tarot, let me know in the comments below and I'll do a walkthrough of these beautiful little charms. I love them. I'm so happy. She's made some plastic ones, but for me, plastic, blah. Pewter, yes, I love these. I'm so happy. Now, this is not a walkthrough. This is not a fashion video. This is a video in which I use tarot and oracle cards to explore topics related to living the intentional life. And this week's topic invites us to ask a question before we get into the spread. And that question is, what is the intentional life? Every week when I lay my large weekly spread, I ask that question. How can we live more intentionally in the coming week? And then we get the answer with the cards, right? But what is an intentional life? And we've discussed this a few times. And many people, myself included, use the shorthand of the intentional life is an emotional journey. Now, the intentional life is an emotional journey. It's a very clever way to think about it. And it's a useful way to think about it. But it's not really what an intentional life is. Why? An intentional life is not an emotional journey. Emotion is important, but it is not the journey itself. Now, emotion is our indicator. It's like the dashboard on a car. It tells us how open we are or how less open we might be to using or having access to the power of intention. It would be like saying your journey in your car is a dashboard journey. Now, the dashboard, which gives us indications of how the fuel is, how much power there is in the battery, the speed you're going at. Yeah, that's the dashboard, but that's not the journey, right? It indicates how the journey is going, but it isn't the journey itself. Now, it's not the fuel in the tank. It's not the control of the vehicle either. It's not the road that the vehicle moves on. It isn't the engine either. It is the indicator. That's what emotion is for us. It's the indicator of how well we are accessing and the direction we are going with our intention. So really, what is an intentional life if it isn't an emotional journey? What is the vehicle that moves us with the power of intention? I would say it is evolution. We evolve into the beings who receive the things that we want in our lives. We evolve into the beings who manifest. We evolve into the beings who create. We evolve into the beings who form the relationships, who find the jobs. What have you placed on your powerful current of intention? What are the things that you know that you are moving in the direction of? The movement towards those things is an evolutionary movement. We become the people who receive, create, manifest, form those things, those bonds, those relationships, the houses, the families, the jobs, the artistic creations or expressions, the vacations, the thoughts. We evolve. And that's what this week's Tarot and Oracle spread is pointing out to us and helping us to explore in a very specific way. So we've got the whole spread already laid out. Let me show you the spread right now. This is a beautiful spread, isn't it? And unfortunately, this is the last time we're going to see many of these decks. And if you're curious about these decks, what the names are, who the creators are, there will be a short clip at the end of this video that gives you that information. And also, at the bottom of the screen, in the description box below, there will be links for you to go and check out one or all of the decks if you are interested. They're all still in print, to my knowledge, at the time of this video, at the time that I'm creating this video. So take a look and purchase perhaps one or all of them. I don't get any money if you use the links. They're just there for your convenience. So again, beautiful spread. And unfortunately, this is the last time we're going to see some of these decks. But I've got some new ones all lined up and ready, and it's going to be interesting, so stay tuned for those. If this is your first time here, let me give you a brief overview of what you just saw. Now, there are a whole bunch of cards all spread out across the screen. Well, this way in the screen for this spread. And this spread is based on the Ace of Discs from the Tarot of the Holy Light. And so there were a group of 4 cards in the center, which form the primary message of the spread. And they are the disc, the central disc of the ace. Above, there were 3 cards from a different tarot deck, and that is the air, the thoughts, the mind, the consciousness, also the view, and communication. And below, there were 3 cards from another tarot deck, and those are the earth. Our bodies, the work, the things that we do, how we live our day-to-day lives, our routines, all of that. And then on the side of the 4 cards in the center, there were 2 oracle cards, one on each side, and they give us a unified piece of advice. They advise us. So friends, that's what we just saw. And we're going to start with the central group of oracle cards. Let me show you those 4 cards in closer detail. Take a look. So you just saw those 4 cards. One of them, and they're a beautiful deck, right? I'm going to continue using this deck as the center of my weekly spreads for a while, because this deck is asking for more study from me, and I hope that my study of this deck is helping you as well. It's a beautiful deck by Payne-Towler. I highly recommend it. And again, links below. So, again, we had 4 cards laid out. And you noticed that 1 card was upright and the other 3 were reversed. This deck is intended to be used with reversals. So, when a spread comes out in that fashion for me, it's an indication of where I want to begin. I will usually, if there are 3 cards in one direction and 1 in another direction, I will first consider that 1 in the other direction as perhaps a potential starting place. Now, if that 1 in the other direction is the only upright, that's an even stronger indication for me, at least emotionally, that that's where I want to start. And in this spread, I believe that is the place to start. That it is the only really human of the four cards. Now, that was the King of Cups, right? So we'll start there, and then we're going to go clockwise. And I decided to go clockwise this time instead of counterclockwise for a couple of reasons. The primary one being that the King of Cups was facing in that direction, kind of. So the King of Cups is facing in the direction this way, so I figured might as well go around, and that's the way the readings seem to make the most sense to me. And so we start with the King of Cups. Da, 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 da. Beautiful card. Beautiful, beautiful card. I love all of the kings in this deck. There are a couple I like even more than this one, but this is a beautiful card. And we see what? We see the king lying face down in the water. His feet are visible in the back. His upper body with the crown and his arms are spread out above the water. And in his hands, he has the two lights, right? He has two of the lights, I should say. He has the sun and the moon. He's got the sun in the morning and the moon at night. He's got both of those. And in the background, we also see this snake, like a cobra figure with a lion's head, right? And there's a spirit being up in the clouds, breathing air, breathing spirit. Now, spirit, pneumen, breath, is another way to say spirit, right? The breath is another way to say spirit in Hebrew and in Latin. So, spirit is breathing spirit into that creature in the background. Do you see it? So this is a very important and symbol-rich card for many reasons. Oh, also there's the cup in front. I forgot to mention the gold cup that's shaped kind of like a lotus, and it's floating in the water, and it's beautiful. And there's a forest around the king and the cobra-like figure with the lion's head. Beautiful, beautiful card. So, what is it? Now, in this deck, the King of Cups is Scorpio, my ascendant sign, in case you were curious. And all of the kings are the fixed signs. I'm sorry, I'm doing cardinal with my hand, and I'm thinking fixed. Leo is a fixed sign. I'm Leo. Scorpio is a fixed sign. I'm also Scorpio. Yeah. So Scorpio, beautiful card. What does it mean? You'll notice that there's a lot of Scorpio, there's a lot of Aries, and there's a lot of, what else? There's a lot of Saturn in this central spread, if that means anything to you. Yeah? Scorpio is the harshest, one may say, of the water signs. It's perhaps I believe it's one of the deepest, but it's a little bit rigid. We can be stubborn. We can hold grudges. Yeah. Saturn is also a fairly harsh planet, right? It's the boundary. It's the cutoff planet. It's the one that this far and no farther. It's the one that says yes and no. Strict rules. Jupiter is expansive. Saturn says enough. And then also, what did I say? Aries. Aries, another fairly harsh, aggressive sign, right? So we're starting here with, and we're talking about our intentional life. Why all this harshness in an intentional life? Well, all of these things that we think of as being harsh are also beneficial for us in many ways. And how is Scorpio beneficial for us here? Because Scorpio is also a spiritual card, is also a spiritual sign. And the King of Cups here is immersed in emotion and spirituality and the wisdom of the unconscious. And those Smith-Waite decks, in the Golden Dawn decks as well, Thoth perhaps as well, the King of Cups is above the water. right? The King of Cups is sitting there. Usually the water is choppy, it's turbulent, but the king is sitting there above the water, above it all, stable. This king is not above it all. This king is in it all. Only a bit of the king is above water level. So immersed in the unconscious, immersed in spirituality, immersed in the emotion and the wisdom therein. The water also helps cool off the fire of this king's native element. I'm sorry, the kings. What was I trying to say? The kings. Now, for me, the kings are fire. The queens are water. The knights are air, and the discs or pentacles are earth. So kings are fire, but would be for me fire of water, which would mean the water. The fiery king is cooled off inside of the watery environment of his native element, being the King of Cups. So some of that heat is dampened, it's insulated, it's cooled off. This is also here to remind us that there's a more expansive reality than our limited perceptions and can perceive. And that broader reality is willing to co-create with us. Our lives are a co-creation. These lives that we have as eternal beings in these physical bodies are a co-creative act. Co-creative with the other beings here, with the other material here, but also with the eternal nature that we are, and with the broader divine nature that is everything. It's a co-creative act. And this card is here to remind us that we can't see it all. We don't see it all. It's impossible for us to see it all. And yet there is a broader reality that we have the potential to co-create with. Why? Let me tell you about this little lion back here, this lion snake. Now, this lion snake, when we think of the monad, the primary consciousness in which all of this universe is creating itself and is being created, when we think of that monad, we think that monad had somehow decided to split itself in a way so that there would be an other, there would be a subject and an object. And then that monad, that creating Kether, well, there was no down yet perhaps, but still sent forth a spirit to create. And that spirit to create, Sophia and partner, came down and created a here, this earth. But then and one of those beings is this Cobra Lion being. And this Cobra Lion being got a little confused that they were the ones creating this universe, forgetting that they are an emanation of the greater divine consciousness, the eternal consciousness that all of this is within. And so, this breath down here is where this creature who tried to make a human, they tried to make a human, but it wouldn't get up. It wouldn't start walking. It was just laying there. Because it had not been infused with the divine spirit yet. And so this spirit is here, breathing the life of the divine into the material so that this king can rise and evolve. That's another way to look at this image, is to have that myth, that story in the back of our minds, which reminds us that there is a broader reality that is here and ready to co-create with us, is ready to assist in our own evolution. This king, as the one who has received the breath of spirit and is now able to stand and rise and move, to evolve. It's also able to participate in both the material and the non-material, in the physical and, for want of a better word, the non-physical or spiritual. Can participate in and acts as a mediator between realms, between also the unconscious and the superconscious, the divine, and as the consciousness. So there's that etheric world, there's this physical world, and we as evolving, not evolved, there is no endedness to our evolution, because that is what the intentional life is. It's a life of evolution. And as we evolve, we are also the intermediaries between this physical and the non-physical, because we are fully that, all of that, as we are manifesting, co-creating these bodies in this physical realm. Does that make sense? This king can also communicate strength and depth without words. The wordy king is the king of swords, right? The passionate leader king is the king of wands. The one who is good at communicating with physical stuff is the king of discs. This one communicates not with words, not with throwing stuff around, throwing money at things, for example. This one communicates depth and strength with presence, with emotional presence, with spiritual presence, with that Scorpio power. Scorpios are pretty powerful. Other water signs are powerful too, but Scorpios are powerful in a very particular way. My grandmother was a Scorpio sun, so she's my image of what a Scorpio, a powerful Scorpio being is. I also know the dark side of a Scorpio being from my grandmother, but there's that power that isn't always a verbally expressive power. It's a presence power, a depth power, a spiritual power. And she's also the one that I first got a taste of cartomancy from in a very complicated way. And I think I've mentioned that before, but if you're curious, ask me in the comments below. So that's what this card is about here, our evolution. And that we are a communication between spirit and the physical. That the breath of the divine is here, that broader reality is here to co-create with us and to breathe spirit into our evolution. And so where do we go from here? We go into judgment, reversed. So let me show it to you upright. This is judgment upright. And there are some echoes. Bad habits of explanation. It's not echoing the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. This deck is based on the Continental Tarot, which predates the Golden Dawn, which predates the Rider-Waite-Smith, the Smith-Gold-Coleman deck, and the Harris-Thoth, the Thoth deck, the Harris-Crowley deck, the Thoth deck. This is from a system that predates that. So this does not echo the Smith-Waite. This echoes decks that were the inspiration for Pamela Colman Smith's work. And we do see the angel above with the horns, right? We see beings on the ground, one of them completely laid out, and two perhaps praying for that being who's laid out, praying for that being to rise. That's how I imagine it. We see the Holy Spirit there, the dove, right? In what will perhaps eventually become a world orb to me. It kind of looks like an omphalos, the world egg, to me. Here, does that look like it to you as well? Which would eventually, in the next card, the world, give us that laurel wreath in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. But usually there's some kind of a circle in the world card. But I see it here as well, in the plant life. So Judgment in this deck is Saturn, which is a harsh card, right? It's the harsh judging card. And in reverse, it's the harsh judging card, but it's also the card of being called to our evolution in the upright. So what does it mean in reverse? Because that's how it appeared. We've got our king in the process of his, her, their, our evolution, flowing in the direction of this. I was a little worried when this came up in reverse. But checking the guidebook, there was no real need to worry. Of course, there's no real need to worry when any of these cards are in reverse positions. It's not like you're a bad person, so I'm giving you a reversed card. It's not mean like you're headed for disaster, I'm going to give you a reversed card. That's not what the meaning of reversed cards are in this or really any other deck, really. So, Judgment in reverse means we have permission. We have permission to not engage in anything that will prevent our evolution, that will prevent our expression of our potential. We have the permission not to engage in anything that would prevent our eternal natures from manifesting into the world. Why do we say that way? Sometimes we think, yeah, I want to, have you ever thought this? Yeah, I'd love to evolve, but I have to do this. This person needs that. I have to take care of this. All of those things are things that engage us that block our expression. All of those yeah buts are things that are blocking the expression of the fullness of ourselves, that are blocking our evolution. Doesn't mean that we don't have responsibilities anymore, that we can become entirely self-centered beings, because that's an impossibility. Nothing here is in isolation. Everything is co-creation, whether we recognize it or not, whether we like it or not. It's all co-creative. But we have permission not to. We have permission to take the time to also give attention to our evolution and to express ourselves, express our eternal natures, and do the other things as well. But we don't do those things to the exclusion of our full expression of self in the physical universe. Are there things that distract you from being who you really are sometimes? Do you notice that? Do you notice that there are things that suddenly make you clamp up and feel defensive? Do you notice that there are things that distract you away from who you are, that pull you, that feel like they're pulling you out of being your more evolved self? We have permission not to engage in those things. Or we have permission to evolve into the beings who can engage in those things in a more evolved way. That's what this Judgment card in reverse is. It's also the call to reveal the face that we were before we were born. That's a kind of Zen way of saying to reveal our eternal natures, to reveal the eternal natures that we are in these bodies that we are co-creating. We have permission to do that. We have permission to be us. Not necessarily the us that we think everybody will think is cool. And not be us in a way that is going to be in your face. The kind of fuck you, I am who I am kind of thing, which is an aggressive way of doing it. Our eternal natures are not fuck you beings. Our eternal natures are, I recognize your resistance, but I am who I am. That's a little different from the fuck you gesture of, I'm going to be who I am, damn you, right? We don't have to damn anybody. We don't have to fuck you anybody, at least not in the aggressive sense. We can just be who we are. And this card is also here in reverse to tell us that this evolution process that we are in, this guy, right now, still not erect, still not upright, still in the water face down. Now, being upright doesn't mean he has to get out of the water. And doesn't mean that he will never be able to relax in the water either. He'll still be able to float. But when this king evolves, this king will be able to stand in the water, right? That's a symbolic gesture of this king's evolution. As this king evolves into this is the direction we're going. And this card in reverse wants to remind us that we want to prepare for evolving into something in which we lose who we are now. The being we are evolving into is going to be a being that will be letting go of the being we are now. And anything less than that commitment to evolving to who we will be and letting go of who we are, if we can't commit to that, might as well just stop. Don't try it. It's just going to cause more damage to you, to us, to me, to everybody around us. This card in reverse is here to emphasize we will lose our current selves to who we are becoming, like the butterfly. The butterfly loses the caterpillar state. And we want to commit to that or just forget about it. There are no half measures here. It's evolve or stop playing with it, because you're playing with fire. You're playing with self-destruction. If you don't go all the way, what you're going to do is just self-destruct. So it's a commitment to that evolution and a commitment to allowing who we are to disintegrate as we become the butterfly. That's a kind of harsh thing to be reminded of, right? But it's the reality of our evolution. It's the reality of the butterfly. I'm probably enough with the butterfly, right? So here we are. We're evolving and we want to commit. We want to commit to that evolution or just stop. Just explore where we are right now. But if we have that strength, if we have the strength of Scorpio, receiving the breath of spirit, co-creating, we can do it. We can do this, but it requires commitment. It's an all or nothing event, this life. And when we die, we'll release all resistance and we'll have another potential shot at it. But this life right now, right here, it's an all or nothing shot. And so, the next card is the Two of Wands. I'm sorry, the Two of Wands. The Two of Swords. I'm sorry, where am I? Here we are. Yes, the next card is the Two of Wands. I got my cards all messed up. The Two of Wands are reversed. Now, the Two of Wands upright is like this. It's the sun blasting energy down on the earth in two different ways, right? There's the burst of dark fire with red flames and red smoke which is life. And there's the white fire, and which creates burning destruction. And there's a balance of the two, destruction and life, living creation. And upright, this is the sun in Aries, which is a very happy combination. Yeah, Aries' actual planet is Mars. Mars is the ruler of their domicile, one of the domiciles, Aries, and the other domicile, Scorpio, right? Mars. But here we have the sun in Aries, and the sun and Aries are very comfortable together. In reverse, we have we have Mars in Libra. Now, Mars in Scorpio would be very happy. Mars in Libra, not so much. Now, Libra is an air sign, right? All of that air kind of rocks, and that need for balance kind of messes with Mars, who wants to go forward, not get things organized, not get things balanced. So, yeah, let's just keep going. Take what we want, get what we want, do what we need to do. And Libra says, wait a second, let's balance things out. Let's think about this. So here in reverse, we have these two opposing forces of conflict: optimism, pessimism, instinct, spirit, wrath, and love. Whatever opposites of spectrum you want to choose, this card can be that. And in reverse, they're in opposition rather than in joining forces. They're in opposition. Standoffs, self-doubt, which is the key, and why I thought this would be the next card after the Judgment card in reverse. It's that self-doubt. When we're faced with the reality of the call to evolution, how easy is it for us to accept that? Is there ever any doubt that creeps in? I'm not sure if I can do this. I'm not sure that I'm worthy. I'm not sure that I have the capacity. I'm not sure that this is actually what I want to become. Any of those doubts ever creep in around the edges? This is here reminding us of that there is that potential. Which is why this card is so important, a reminder that yes, there will be doubts, there will be conflict of who I am and who I am becoming. There will be conflict there. The who I am now doesn't want to let go of who I am now as I evolve, but that who I am now, we do want to let go of that as we evolve. And that difference, that insecurity is natural, and we want to be aware that it is possible, that we want to keep our feelers out for when that starts to show its face in our experience. Because there is great potential for conflict in our path of evolution. Because we're not there yet, and we're never there. There is no end to our evolution, right? But the next step, the next level, the next stage of our evolution is different from where we are now. And we don't know what it's going to be like. And it could be a little bit scary. Even if we think it's wonderful, glowing, fields of wildflowers and honeydew and birds singing and whatever your vision of paradise might be, even if we think it's that, still, we don't know for sure. And there are doubts that can creep in. Kind of messing with our direct path that Mars wants to go in. So we can start to get unstable. And that could be a little problematic to our evolution, to our having access to the power of our intention, which helps us move with our evolution, and our evolution moves us with the power of intention. But that's not the last card in this spread, because there is this as well. The Two of Swords. The Two of Swords in reverse. Now, upright, it's actually very similar, upright and reversed. Upright, we have this. The green is on top, the purple's on the bottom. But really, the top half and the bottom half are very similar. We do have two different arms here, right? We have the sun in light and the sun in light. The arm in light and the arm in shadow. There is that difference. We got the backgrounds. But really, except for that, the top and the bottom are basically the same. The background gets purple, gets darker. Green, vibrant, purple, darkness, maybe. And upright, again, beautiful card. This is Saturn in Libra. Now, Saturn and Libra, they're cool with each other. They're both kind of rational beings, I guess. But in reverse, and upright. We also have Venus in Scorpio, which is Venus in the house of one of the houses of her partner. Venus's houses, what are they? They are Libra and Taurus, right? Libra and Taurus are the houses of Venus. So in Scorpio or in Aries, Venus is in the house of her partner. In Scorpio, when it's upright, apparently she's got a little bit more stability, maybe. In reverse, it's Venus in Aries. So the conflict may be a little bit more harsh, a little harsher. In Scorpio, they can work it out. In Aries, the working out of it is a little more difficult. So what does that mean? Disagreements intensified to that potential of losing the win-win possibility into going into a win-lose. Somebody's going to win and somebody's going to lose, and we're going to figure out who it is, and it's not going to be me. I'm not going to lose. Yeah? Venus and her partner Mars, they can work together, but they can get into some pretty harsh conflict as well, because they're so different. So the potential for that happy medium, that happy win-win medium can be lost easily. Growing anxiety and mistrust can be self-fulfilling. Now remember, we just came from this, right? That potential, now this could be disagreements with other people, but they could be the disagreements within our own environment, within our interior, our internal disagreements. I want to go, I don't want to go. I want to evolve, I don't want to evolve. I want things to change, I'm afraid of change. Now those conflicts, which were indicated here as a possibility, can grow. And that anxiety and mistrust within self can be self-fulfilling. It can fulfill its own predictions. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I'll be able to evolve. I don't know if this is right. I don't know. And then we fulfill that prophecy that we've made for ourselves. Being present and being observant is the key. Because this potential can grow. This card is here to remind us that we want to pay attention to our internal, our emotional environment. And to be careful of reflex responses. Because those reflex responses damage our opportunities for growth, for evolution, for manifestation. for flowing with the current of our intention in a more direct and smooth path. Instead of going the easy, smooth way, we could, because of knee-jerk reactions, get ourselves moving towards the rapids and towards boulders blocking our path or trying to form obstacles for us. Because every time this happens, I do this. Instead of becoming the one who finds a new way around the obstacles. Right? So this is a very important reading about what an intentional life is. It's the life of the king. Yeah, it's the life of this king. Evolving through the call, being called to evolve. And being aware that that evolution can cause some conflict within. And that conflict can grow, can increase, and we want to be careful. We want to be observant. We want to avoid reflex reactions because they're not going to help us in our evolution. Does that make sense? I think this is brilliant. I think this is a brilliant set of cards. And helpful for us to remember, and to remember to think about and be aware of as we live our intentional lives. Friends, we've got some cards above and some cards below. Let's take a look at the cards in the air, our thoughts, our communication, what we see. Here they are. This is a beautiful deck, isn't it? I love this dragon deck. And you saw from left to right, there were the Ace of Cups, the 10 of Pentacles, and the Ace of Swords. Two aces right around a central card. So that's how I think this should be read. Now, that these two cards are communicating with this card or are referencing this card. And we'll notice when we go down to the bottom that there's a similar relationship down below. And that the two cards, top and bottom in the center, are both pentacles. Very interesting. So we've got here cups, pentacles, swords. Only thing we're missing is wands. And we had wands in the central spread, right? And there will be a hint, an indication of wands below. But for here, 3 cards, 3 different suits, good balance, and it balances around the pentacles, which again, the pentacles are echoed in the bottom, and we'll get to that in a moment, and let's look at these cards. So, let's start with the 10 of Pentacles. What is this trying to tell us? The 10 of Pentacles. In the deck by Pamela Coleman Smith, what do we see? We see 10 pentacles, 10 discs, shaped in the tree of life, right? They're prominent there. And then ostensibly behind those 10 discs, we see a very pastoral scene. Yeah, there's a family. There's what looks like a grandfather in a chair, a grandparent in a chair with a dog and a child. There's a younger couple a little bit farther away in a large archway, perhaps the parents of the child of the grandparent perhaps. And we see a castle or wealthy buildings in the background. So it's the card of wealth. Not just money, but wealth. Financial security or stability in the long-standing traditional sense of stability. Now we could see the 4 of discs or 4 of pentacles as stability as well, financial stability. But the 10 is grounded in a tradition of stability. And not just stability for one, but stability for all. It's long-term success. It's also contribution. I see 10s in the Rider-Waite-Smith decks. Now it's a little difficult to see that in the 10 of Swords. a little less difficult in the Ten of Wands, and definitely not difficult in the Ten of Cups or the Ten of Pentacles, as being the contribution card. I've got so much taken care of that now I can contribute. So the Ten of Cups, I am so emotionally fulfilled that I can now support others emotionally. Here, Ten of Pentacles, I am so stable with my resources, my time, my money, my land, my wealth, whatever that is for you, that I can now share that and care for others with it. And I'm ready to pass that on to others when the time comes. That's the Ten of Pentacles. It's contribution and the potential for contribution to those around us. It's family, it's ancestry, it's pedigree. So what is it trying to tell us in this spread? That yes, we were just talking about our evolution and becoming somebody who we were not, losing who we are. But that doesn't mean that we lose everything. We want to remember that we still have this. We still have our legacy. We still have our stability, our wealth, whatever that is for us. As we evolve, it doesn't mean that we lose that. We evolve within this, right? And here we have a beautiful card. We've got what do we have? I don't know if you can see this clearly, but we've got a whole bunch of dragons. We've got 2 dragons down at the center there, and they look like they're in a very loving relationship. There are 2 more dragons up above on a branch. The 2 in the center they look like they're in a very secure, safe, cave-like dwelling. Above, there are 2 perhaps younger dragons, maybe they're children. They're frolicking on the roof, as children are wont to do. My mother used to play on the roof of her apartment with her brothers, and that's another story. At Chicago in the 30s, 40s, kids did that. And then there's this butterfly, this sense of play, of airiness. So there's this enjoyment of the resources and the wealth that we have, whatever they may be. And we have that security and stability around us so that we can feel more comfortable as we evolve, right? And if we are open to that, if we are open to the stability with our evolution, then we have the potential for these 2 to appear. On the left, the Ace of Cups. On the right, the Ace of Swords. Ace of Cups. So, from our sense of stability and comfort and ability to care for others, as we are open to that and to our evolution, then we can have the Ace of Cups experience. Love, fresh love. Ever renewing fonts of love. How do you experience your feeling of love? If you have a partner, your partner. If you have children, your children. If you have a pet, to your pet. To your friends. How do you experience that love? Is it comfortable like a worn in and somewhat worn out sweater? Or is it eternally fresh and new and vibrant and exciting and interesting and life-giving and energizing? Now, within that stability of the Ace, the Ten of Pentacles, we have the potential to rediscover the fresh font of youth, of love, of new relationships with the people we already know and with new people. We can have new relationships with the people we know every day. That's an exciting life. To leave behind our assumptions and our memories of who they have been with us in the past, be they good memories or disturbing, troubling memories or frustrating memories, leave those behind and ever rediscovering who they are anew. So that those new relationships can be with your child, your husband, your wife, your partner, your friend, your coworker, yourself. We have this potential springing forth from that Ten of Pentacles as we evolve. It's also the card for compassion, for creativity. Yeah, that emotional kind of creativity, that intuitive kind of creativity, because this is also intuition, right? This is abundance, fresh abundance. It's a font of abundance, because our emotions, as we are uplifted by our emotions and with our emotions, abundance flows forth from us and with us and around us. So this is an affirmation of yes. I say yes to my evolution. That yes, that the Judgment card in reverse asked us for. We can do that in the setting of our Ten of Pentacles, discs, coins, whatever you want to call it. And here we see this little duck. We have this cute little duck with this childlike looking dragon, this fresh relationship. Beautiful card. Different from Pamela Coleman Smith's, this well-dressed youth on a beach with waves in the background and ships on the waves, and this holding this cup with a fish poking its head out like, woo! Oh, I'm sorry, that's the page. I'm sorry, that's the page. What am I saying? This is the ace. The Ace of Cups. The hand holding the cup with the bird, the dove above, bringing what looks like a Eucharistic wafer down to the disc. Very Christian symbol, right? Here we have this duck bringing the cup to the dragon on a lily pad. Beautiful, beautiful card. Open to that reception of the abundance of new emotion, fresh emotion. And then on the other side, in balance and in concert, we have the Ace of Swords. To balance and to support and to integrate with the Ace of Cups in the setting of the Ten of Pentacles. Ace of Swords. Beautiful card. Kind of a dark looking card, right? In the Ace of Swords in Marseille decks and in Pamela Coleman Smith's deck, we have a hand reaching out from the clouds with a sword, and around the top of the sword there's a crown, and there are laurels, and there are plants draped over the crown, which the sword is piercing through clouds sometimes. Here we have this sword stuck in the ground, kind of like Excalibur to me. We do get a plant wrapped around it. We've got this beautiful raven on top with a crown on top of the raven's head, looking down at this dragon, this very, very dark dragon on the ground. But they look like they're in communication, right? So this is a card of breakthroughs, of new ideas. Ace of Cups, new emotions, fresh love. This is new ideas, breakthrough ideas, mental clarity, breaking through the clouds of confusion. Truth, honesty, success. So we have say yes and success. We have new love, new ideas. We have new relationships, new clarity and breakthroughs, honesty and emotion, intuition and ideas, all together in our evolutionary path. Active, receptive, all together in the setting of our stability as we evolve. This is where we want to place our mind. As we keep aware of possible conflicts that come up as we experience the disruptive change of our evolution, which we could react to as, I don't know. But we find our stability. And then this is all open to us. Isn't that beautiful? So friends, we've got the earth. What do we do about that in the earth below? Let's take a look at the earth cards. The beautiful sister deck to the dragon deck. Yeah, by the same producers. And this deck has more animals in it. You know, rabbits, squirrels, foxes, ravens. And so we had from left to right the magician, the king of pentacles, remembering kings, king of pentacles here, king of cups, male beings, female beings, cis beings, trans beings, non-binary beings are all kings, are all queens, are all knights, and are all pages. So this king is you, whoever you are, or you, whoever you are, have the potential for this without changing sex or gender, right? That's nothing to do with it. So we had again the magician, king of pentacles, and possibilities is that third card, possibilities. So what the heck is up with this? Talk about that in a little bit. Let's start with, I mentioned the center at the top was the Ten of Pentacles. The center here is the King of Pentacles. Another ultimate card. Yeah, the 10 is the ultimate of the series from 1 to 10. The King is the ultimate of the series from page to king. Right? So, here we have the King. A little different from our Rider-Waite-Smith deck, our Pamela Coleman-Smith deck that most of us are very familiar with. Instead of the king in this lush throne with all of these grapes and all, it's almost difficult to see what is drawn on the card because there's so much of it there. There's so much detail. It's kind of crammed together and difficult to see, at least for me. Here we have a much more open card, very easy to see. We have this king. The king is perched very proudly in the middle of their field. We've got two butterflies floating in the back. The king, I'm looking at a copy of the card right here. The king is has beside the king what they have an acorn, right? Yeah, they have acorns. There's a breastplate on the chest of the king. Very regal looking rabbit. Very grounded looking rabbit, right? A grounded rabbit in the earth suit. Now this is fire of earth for me, but still grounded fire. So who is the king of pentacles? This king is a hard-working king. This king does the stuff that needs to be done. This king is productive. This king is methodical, knows how to do things. It's not so much planning like the long-term plans of a king of swords, but the methodical plans of, okay, I've done this, then I will do this, then I will do this, and then we'll move in the direction of a completion of work. Yeah? Rational, stable, reliable. You can trust this king. This king is not going to play any mental games with you or burn you with his hot temper. This king you can trust, is stable, reliable, routine, yeah? Able to work with many different people. Not so much a leader, but a co-worker with the people below. If that is what the structure is. This king is positive. Positive and conservative. In a good way. Personally, I am liberal to the point that some people might think that I am socialist. Just so you know. Yeah? Socialist in the way that perhaps Sweden is socialist or England is socialist. But conservatism, even for me, is a positive thing because it's not the dichotomy of conservative liberal. This is the dichotomy of conserving and disposing. That kind of conservatism. Like a conservatory. What is a conservatory? A place where they conserve musical traditions, for example, is a conservatory. You learn music, you learn to play musical instruments, you learn to sing at a conservatory that conserves the music of the tradition. A conservatory can be a place where plants are grown and we conserve the growing living plants. We conserve our resources. All of those are very positive meanings for conservatism. Conservatism. That's who this king is. This king is not the angry, I hate liberals conservative king. This is the one who conserves the resources, who maintains things, who works against global warming because that is destruction. And this king is for conservation of the environment. Right? That is very good, very beneficial conservatism. So, this is where we want to ground ourselves in our daily lives, in our conserving what we have, conserving who we are, living our daily lives, not trying to make some radical leap forward that may scare the crap out of us. Doing the daily steps of our evolution. That our evolution can be those daily steps, can be the rational movement forward if we allow it to be. It doesn't have to be this scary thing. We can take the steps to let our past selves dissolve. The butterfly, again with the butterfly. Well, there are butterflies here. Yeah. Again with the butterfly. The butterfly does not in one day dissolve itself as a caterpillar. It doesn't in one day dissolve itself and start flying away as a butterfly. It's not that radical a change, right? The caterpillar stops and forms a cocoon and digests itself inside of that cocoon and then reforms itself inside of that cocoon and then breaks forth. Now there's a progression. There's a rational, stable, reliable progression of its evolution. And we can do that too. Allowing who we have been dissolve. Allowing our memory of, not so much memory, but our attachment to who we think people have been dissolve. Did I just twist your brain? I don't know. Let me see if I can say that again. Allowing our perception of who we think people have been to dissolve. So for example, if you are married to a husband, a wife, a partner, if you have some lover relationship in your life, and you have a history, a lot of times we carry those past experiences and assumptions of those partners with us into the future. We're not carrying the partner with us, we're carrying also the baggage that is there. Not just the memories of it, but the actual baggage, the assumptions that we've formed forward. So we assume that this person is going to react in this way, is going to do these things which either make us happy or annoy us as we move forward. That's the thing that we can allow to dissolve. So that we can reimagine, we can rediscover our relationship every moment of every day. Now we still got the memories there. We don't want to lose the memories of perhaps a wedding or a first date or a first kiss or a first sexual encounter or whatever. We don't want to lose the memory, but we want to lose those assumptions of who we think that being is, because we will never fully know that being until we leave our bodies and we re-engage with each other in spiritual form. The eternal natures that we are know who each other is fully. But these brains that we have in these heads don't know who the other is, even a fraction of that. So we want to let go of those assumptions, let those assumptions dissolve as we rediscover each other fresh a day, every day. Because as that person evolves and we evolve, that's living an intentional life. So we do this. And so on flanking that, we had the Magician. And let's talk about the Magician first. Flanking this, we had the Magician and possibilities. Magician. Who is the Magician? Here we've got, now it's a very difficult card to see in this light. Probably you can't see very much. We have a raven here in the dark with lights. They look like lightning bugs to me around their head. We have the 4 suits down there at the feet of the raven. We have the wand, we have the sword, we have the cup, we have the pentacle. It's all there. Primarily, the symbols are there. We don't have the rose and the lily, but that's okay. We don't really have, you can read the as above, so below into this card by seeing that the wings, both wings are pointed up and the beak is pointed down, so you can kind of get that. We don't get the lamnisket here though. But in this crow's nest, the crow's nest has all the tools that they need for manifestation. So this is the manifestation card again. This is the card of resourcefulness and inspired action. I also think of the Knight of Wands as inspired action, but you can see that here. Power, adroitness, don't you love that word, adroitness? Creative mental power, the ability to manifest, to use the tools to create, and to begin the journey too. The Magician really is the first step on the journey through the major arcana. The card traditionally has no number. The Fool card traditionally has no number. The Fool card can be at the beginning, can be at the end, could be anywhere. The Fool is the one who moves through, and the Magician is the first step. It's the beginning of an evolutionary path. And again, what are we talking about? Evolution. So the King of Pentacles here has what they need to begin the journey of evolution and manifestation. That's what this is reminding us of. We have what we need. As we focus on the day-to-day tasks, we want to remember that we have what we need and we can manifest. As we recognize our inner King of Pentacles-ness. And then balancing this card that says we have everything that we need, we can do it, we're starting the journey, and right next to it, on the other side, we have possibilities. Ooh, sorry, here it is, possibilities. And here we have, this is a very interesting card. It's one of the extra cards for this deck, which I shuffle in. I like shuffling in, as long as they're not an overwhelming number of extra cards, I like shuffling them into the deck and using them as additional tarot cards. And so I used this one. And this we see a dragon. Now this dragon as possibilities was also a precursor for that deck above. This deck was the first deck they published. The deck we saw before, the one in the air, the dragon deck, is the second deck. So this card was the foreshadow of the coming deck. So we have this beautiful dragon here, and around the dragon we have the animals representing the 4 suits. We have the raven for the swords, we have the squirrel for the cups, we have the fox down here for the wands, and then we have, where are you? We have the rabbit here for the pentacles. And we have all of that there. So again, in a sense, we've got this card again. This dragon has all of the creatures it needs to start flying. This dragon is a dragon of possibilities and potential. Potential dreams, which will manifest, right? Second sight, seeing beyond what is and what is on the horizon. Not the way the King of Swords sees. The King of Swords actually sees what is and what is coming. Long range view. This is the third eye's second sight, long range view. Does that make sense as a difference? This is also capabilities. This dragon has the potential to do anything that it really wants to do. It can manifest everything it wants to manifest. It has all of that potential, and it can see all of the possibilities. So this king, as this king evolves, has so much potential. So do you, so do I, so do we all. That's the path of evolution, right? And that's what this spread is here reminding us of. That's what the intentional life is. Do you agree? Have you experienced that? This is so important. This is so important. Now we have 2 cards of advice. Very interesting cards of advice. Let's look at those. Two more dragon cards, right? On the left, we had the dragon card of peace. On the right, we had the dragon card of thoughts. Peaceful thoughts, great advice, especially in this spread, right? Peaceful thoughts, that's what we want. So what did we see? This beautiful, beautiful, somewhat reminding me of the High Priestess card in a tarot deck. Probably because of those, there's really only one, but it reminds me of columns here on the side, the moon in the back, the purple makes me think High Priestess. I get the sense of water in the background, even though we don't see the water, we see the glow coming up from the light shining down on the water, reflecting back up, that kind of hazy, misty, there's a lake back there, kind of glowing light, right? So this is the card of peace. What is it telling us to do? What is the advice? Be kind to yourself. That's the advice. Be kind to yourself, to ourselves. To remember who we truly are and the beauty of who we are and the beauty of the life that we're living. Do you recognize the beauty of your life? Your life is beautiful. However you are expressing yourself in your life, it is beautiful, and you are beautiful. And yeah, that can sometimes sound like a participation trophy, but that's not what we're talking about here. There are some times, no matter how beautiful we are, that we screw up. And that's okay. And we shouldn't expect a trophy for that. Now, the beauty that we are, the beauty of our lives isn't one that is saying, I'm doing this or being this so that I can get recognition or a trophy. That's not what that is. We just want to acknowledge the beauty of who we are and not trying to get other people to acknowledge it for us. That's not what this card is here about either. We're not out saying, aren't I beautiful? Aren't I beautiful? You're beautiful. I'm beautiful too. Right. I'm beautiful. Show me, tell me, I'm beautiful. My life is beautiful. Right. Tell me. Acknowledge me, award me. That's not what this card is here to remind us of. This card is here to remind us that we acknowledge our own beauty without having to throw it in other people's faces. We acknowledge our beauty as who we are, like a rose blooming, blossoming, doesn't go out and jump in people's face and say, look at me. It's there. We're just present and aware and alive and open to the power of our intention and acknowledging our own beauty and the beauty of our lives. And that there's power in tranquility. A very Zen kind of power, right? A very Zen power. The master does nothing and yet leaves nothing left undone. That's power, the power of tranquility. And bliss allows us to feel complete. So that's what we want to reach for. And that's part of bliss, recognizing our beauty, the beauty of our lives, whether we're living in a mansion or a hut in Africa, or a hut in South America, or a hut in the United States, or a hut in Korea. Whether other people look at our abodes and think we're living in squalor or we're living in abundance, doesn't matter. Our lives are beautiful. We are beautiful. And recognizing that beauty is the entry, the portal to bliss. And bliss allows us to feel complete and powerful. And it helps us to reassemble our scattered energy, because a lot of our time is spent scattering our energy in so many different directions, which diminishes the focus of our power. Now, bliss, tranquility, reassembles our power through, perhaps, you could imagine the power flowing through the chakras, maybe. Because we are powerful creators. You are a powerful creator. Peace allows us to carry and manifest more light. Our container grows. In Korean, they say your rice bowl grows. Yeah, 밥 그릇 커진다. Your rice bowl grows. Our container for light and our potential for carrying light increases as we evolve, and as we gather our energy together, we reassemble ourselves here in the present moment, in tranquility, in peace, in beauty. Our power grows, and the light that we can carry and we manifest grows as well. And the need for control, the need to do things the way we think that they need to be done, takes the place, is that light takes the place of that. I just said that all backwards. Yeah, light takes the place of our need to control and manipulate things. And as we live our light, those things that we think we need to control and manipulate, they get done. They get done. Because, again, the master does nothing and yet leaves nothing undone. The does nothing is that manipulation, that control, making things happen. We don't have to do that. We act. This doesn't mean that the master is not alive and active within the world. The master is not doing in the world. The master is being in the world. Part of being is working and doing the work of sweeping leaves, raking grass, washing dishes, chopping wood. But not putting effort into it, just doing it. So the first piece of advice is peace, to rediscover the peace of self, because that is who we were born as. The second piece of advice is thoughts, which is an interesting, we got this air dragon, right? The dragon, blue-white dragon flying through the air. Beautiful card. Joyfully flying through the air, right? Not trying hard to fly through the air, not flying, but just gracefully, easily flying through the air. And this card reminds us that thought, like air, connects everything. In the physical realm, on this planet, air connects everything, flows through everything. And thoughts and words create our future. So we want to be aware of the thoughts and words we use. So release negative thoughts. This card is here to remind us to release those negative thoughts so that we can fly into the air. Because those thoughts hold us captive. They bind us like the Ace of Swords. The Eight of Swords. The Eight of Swords. They bind us, the negative thoughts. And we can release them and fly like this dragon. And like this dragon, is sensitive to the way that they're flowing through the air. Now, not sensitive like, sensitive, kind of sensitive, but sensitive, aware, present to the way that they're flowing through the air, sensitive to things that might start to be taking them off course, and sensitive enough to be able to let them go before they actually have an effect. And we want to become sensitive to which thoughts are negative. Now, when I've taught intention. I've taught living intentional lives to actual students in actual classrooms. I've taught that. And when we got to the section of negative thoughts, most students would say, I don't have any negative thoughts. So we go around and we talk about things that they think about. And it's surprising at how many of those things that they thought were actually positive were negative thoughts. What do you want from your life? Well, I don't want to be sick anymore. That's a negative thought. Well, I want to be free of this situation. That is a negative thought. Anything where you're focusing on the thing that you don't want is a negative thought. Instead of focusing on what we don't want, we want to focus on what we do want. In a positive sense, not in, oh, I hope someday that this happens. That's also a negative thought. It's a thought of disbelief, which is negative. So we want to be sensitive to our thoughts, which are actually negative. We are often unaware of how negative our thoughts actually are. So this card is here to remind us to be sensitive to those, because they create. And it's difficult to release what we don't recognize. If we don't recognize that something is actually standing in our way, we're not going to be able to move around it or let go of it, right? So this card is here to remind us of that, to find our peace. Now together, to find our peace, our power, and to let go and fly. And being sensitive to being sensitive to and aware of what we want to let go of. Which is perfect advice for this whole spread, right? How have we gotten here? Where have we come? We started from evolution. We want to evolve. We are evolving. Well, we want to evolve. And that's what intentional living is. It's a life of evolution. And we're called to evolve. And we recognize that that call is not a soft, gentle call. It's you make the decision and you do it or don't. Any half-assed decision is going to get you into trouble. Because we move into the possibility, if we're not clear about our decision, of self-doubt. And that self-doubt is going to start rocking our boat. And that self-doubt could, if we let it, if we don't take care of it, if we don't nip it in the bud, as they say, can develop into internal conflicts. And so we want to be aware and present to when that discomfort, that doubt, that insecurity starts to creep in. These cards, being aware and regaining our peace. Because if we do that, then we move into, yes, our course of evolution is not a course of instability. We are stable as we are. It's a course of evolving within our stability. Now that Ten of Pentacles, flanked by, in that Ten of Pentacles security, stability, potential for new ideas and new relationships and new love and new truth. And that's where we want to pay attention. That's where we want to place our attention. And then when we move into our day-to-day tasks, we want to embody the King of Pentacles, who does the daily tasks. Not in effort, not in work, but as the Dragon of Peace, the Master, who does nothing but leaves nothing undone. And if we can do that, live our daily days, step by step, moving forward methodically, routine, productive. Doesn't have to be hard work. That's a negative Christian. There are positive Christian thoughts. So there are also negative Christian judgments of how you should live your life. It should be hard. You should suffer for you. That's not, Christianity does not have to be that. But that is a tradition that many English speakers have brought forward from our past of Christian tradition. And that's not what this King of Pentacles needs to be. Just doing the daily work in joy, in love, in excitement, in adventure, in not the frightening adventure of, oh no, I'm going into the scary woods, but this is a wonderful day, I'm moving forward, this is an adventure of my life, I love this. And if we do that, we have so much potential on either side. We have the magician with all of the tools. We have the possibilities open to us. And it looks and feels like this. That's the advice. So do this. Do the piece and be sensitive to where our minds are going. Does that make sense? This is, again, a powerful reading that really tells us what living an intentional life is. And again, we say it's an emotional journey because our emotions show us our dashboard, show us how well we're moving through the world. But the journey is not the dashboard. The dashboard is our indicator of how well we're doing, where we're going. The journey itself is our evolution. And so we just had a long discussion of that. And if you like that discussion, hit the thumbs up button for me, please, so that YouTube knows that you enjoyed it, and I do too. But if YouTube knows, then it will show this video to others as well. It'll bring more eyes to the channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe and hit the alarm bell so you know when I upload videos. I do two a week usually. Sometimes I do more. So getting an alarm will be helpful. And if you want to get these decks, description box below. And if this meant anything to you, let me know in the comments below. If it meant nothing to you, let me know in the comments below. If you disagree, let me know in the comments below. Let's engage. Do you think, would you read these cards differently? Let me know. And if you want a private reading from me, my email address is below. Shoot me an email and we can work it out. Short reading, long reading, by video, by email, by Zoom, whatever you want, we can do it. And friends, now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.